Brodes Media.
We did it. We got here. And there was a lot to unpack because we have been through hell together. For months, we were rightfully speculating about the relationship of the two most important people in the NovaCare complex. Well, I guess you can make the argument Jeffrey Lurie's pretty damn important and Howie Roseman too. But in regards to a football team, the head coach and quarterback should be together like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I did not know where exactly they stood, and we got a chance to hear from both of them. We will play the audio. I will also give my opinion on some of the notes from practice itself. So before I give my opinion on exactly what I heard, why don't we do this in chronological order? Nick Sirianni spoke first. This is what he had to say in regards to him, Jalen, and the two of them together as we have another season upon us.
You came out with a report last week that described your relationship with Jalen as a work in progress. I'm curious, entering your fourth year, how is your relationship with Jalen, and maybe how did last year test it?
You know, only thing you can judge your relationships on is your personal interactions with people, not any report that comes out. And, you know, Jalen and I's relationship is good. It's, again, you just can judge it based off of what your personal interactions are. And so when you hear a report like that, you don't put much stock into it because, quite frankly, not everybody sees that. So I'm so excited for him and I to get into our fourth year together. We've done some pretty special things, and I'm really excited for him. He's worked so hard at his game. I'm excited for him to be able to get back out here today and have a good practice today. And, yeah, just looking forward to continuing to work with him and continue to build on the special things that we've done.
I think that was a solid answer. I thought it was fine. Nick Sirianni did not put on a shit show. That was not a disaster. It was fine. And quite frankly, I think it's honest. And what would somewhat be silly is if both of these men pretended last year was totally fine. There probably should have been controversy because, well, you guys went through a disaster together. So if there wasn't any controversy and a disaster occurred, there's almost more questions. We need to get on the same page. And there's new roles. There's a new offensive philosophy. There's a lot more on the table with Jalen in regards to pre-snap movement, things at the line of scrimmage, no Jason Kelsey, incorporating that angle to all of the new terminology and all of the new scheme that Kellen Moore is incorporating. So there's a lot here. But having that fresh slate after the offseason, maybe it does wonders. So I'm cool with the way that Nick did it. And even him saying is, look, I can only judge it by our reactions. And to a degree, he was almost not implementing, but implying that when I'm with Jalen, it's all good. He may feel differently when we're not together, but I can only base this off of when we're eye to eye, when we're face to face, when we're talking ball, when we're going over details that I feel is important and that he feels is important. It's a smooth convo. So if that's what I'm getting and that's the energy that's put in to my office when I close the door, and that's what the interaction's like, I think we're Gucci. And if that's how he goes with it, I don't mind that approach from Sirianni. Along with Howie Roseman, who was sitting right beside him, saying, I'll take questions, I'll do this, I'll do that, taking heat off the head coach and holding his hand so he can go off on a tangent and describe Cooper DeJean and the disappointment of his injury or just the nature of maybe the coaching staff now. And I got to give Howie some credit. I do think that he laid it out. Once again, whether it's lip service or not, if I'm going to crush them heavily for the disaster at the OTAs and for everything to be all over the map, and I want Jalen to lie and make it seem like him and Nick are good, and I prefer lying to our faces so you're selling a better product to the fans and the morale feels better compared to the alternative, which is something's wrong, and then we speculate for 4 months, then if they give me lip service, I won't complain because I demanded to have that compared to showing big flashing red alert signs that something's wrong here, something's bad here, something's garbage here. So there was actually a response by Howie about drafting Quinyon Mitchell. And yes, he went to Toledo. And yes, Nick is very close with someone at Toledo. So when you pass along that information and talk about Quinyon Mitchell with one another, that's important to know. Yeah, I got guys there. This is what they say. Let's collectively work as a unit. And Howie made it clear that we liked Quinyon Mitchell anyway. This was almost an added bonus. And when it comes to hiring the coordinators, whether Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie were so pissed off because, well, Diana Rossini recently put out a little piece on her athletic podcast about it being the Nick Sirianni show, and that's why there was turmoil, which is not surprising any of us by any means. Yeah, trust me, we've been digging. We've been having the shovels going 55 feet under the ground looking for this since the day the season ended, and we watched everything go down. So nationally, maybe it was more eye-popping and more appealing to some of the teams or some of the fans that look at teams with a 1,000-foot view instead of in the thick of the emotions. But for us, none of that was new information. So whether Howie and Lurie said this is what you have to work with to save your job, you are taking our coordinators, or there's truth to, similar to them drafting Quinyon Mitchell, hey, I got some info, this is what I'm feeling, and then with Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, very high-profile guys, Howie Roseman said, hey, we're very interested in these guys. What do you think? Once again, it's about, one, I actually like the answer, and if that is true, that's good. Do I think it's as positive as he's laying out, as open floor dialogue as Howie's laying it out? No. Howie's a pro at this, has been here for a long time, and he's selling a product. But I want them to sell a product, even if it isn't the same behind closed doors, because that's how things stay in line. And I'm talking about with public perception and when people sniff that something's brewing in the wrong direction. The more you pretend things are well, the more you have the opportunity maybe to get your hands on things behind the scenes and to fix it the best that you possibly can given the cards that you were dealt, if that makes sense. So that's my opinion on the Nick Sirianni front. Here's Jalen Hurts, who ended up almost somewhat making a statement. So a question came in from the reporters, and he goes, yeah, let me say something here to a degree. All right, here's Jalen.
All the opportunity we had last year, I know everybody's hungry. Everybody's hungry. There's a ton of opportunity in front of us this year. I'm excited to be back, excited to go through this journey and go through this season with everyone here, from everyone, and I truly trust Mr. Lurie, I trust Howie, I trust Coach Sirianni to lead us in that right direction. And I know there are different roles in place. Everybody has different responsibilities. There may be more demands from some than others, but I think to win championships, to be the team we want to be, everyone has to buy into that role, and everyone has to, really be fully committed to doing their part and helping the team. And so I'm excited to go on that journey. I feel like for me as a player, as a leader, everything that we went through last year, I just feel like I'm equipped to handle whatever's to come. And so I'm excited to, forge whatever this year's supposed to be. Yeah, I think we're in a great place. I think anytime you have any frustration, anytime you have any any adversity that you have to overcome is supposed to test you. And I think it's a matter of being on the same page. You know, and I think if we are on the same page, we maybe would have accomplished the things we would have. And, you know, we didn't, but it's a learning experience.
I like it. I really do. I think it's authentic. I think it's real. There were some problems last season, and we have to learn from that, right? It's not about now doubling down and saying, I still have all of these issues with Nick that, I'm going to allow to impact me for this upcoming year. I got paid a lot of money. I got paid a big contract. I'm tied at the hip with Nick. Look, if Nick goes, that means the offense wasn't good. And if the offense isn't good, that means I'm in question now. I think Jalen's being genuine. I think Nick is being genuine. And quite frankly, it's easy to be genuine on this day. It's beautiful. Football's back. You've been waiting forever to close the chapter. You can turn the new page when you take the field again for training camp. Reality is, now it really hits different that it's the following year. Time will tell when they have to play the games and adversity hits for real, for real. But in regards to assessing where we currently stand with last year in the rearview mirror, and still fresh. I mean, it's a fresh wound for me. It doesn't go away automatically. Every time I see Nick, my first thought is the collapse. And then I say, okay, hold on, let me put that behind me for a second. I won't allow that to always ruin my judgment, even though I do. But I won't, or at least I'll try my very best. So it is still fresh. Maybe in 30 years it won't be. I highly doubt it. I'll be telling my grandkids about this collapse. Oh, you don't know about the 23 team following the 2022 Super Bowl loss. Based off of where we are now, though, there were a lot of eyeballs set on these two men. They were prepped and prepared for the first questions to be about the togetherness and how much they are in lockstep with one another. And knowing that, if you told me this would have been the outcome prior to hearing them both speak, I would have said 2 thumbs up, fellas.